The book of Proverbs, going back to chapter 1 and verse 6, I just want to discuss some things for a moment. Chapter 1, verse 6, and this is one of the things given as to the value of the book. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles. And this promises to help us understand, to help us get into not only a understanding a proverb and its meaning, but any kind of what may be called a dark saying or an enigma or the wise and their riddles, to help us to understand what to do with these proverbs. Now, every now and then you'll hear me talk about, maybe just referencing it, the way the Bible is constructed. Because the way the Bible is constructed, nothing about the Bible is accident. Nothing about it. It is, every word is where it needs to be, and the books have a placement. And I don't think those are by accident either. I think those are set in specific times, such as it was Jeremiah who was to, in his day, give not only the events going on in Jerusalem, but also the prophecies that he's going to give. Prior to him, Isaiah. Perfect time in all that of giving all the prophecies that are there. But I want us to understand something of Proverbs and its placement in the Bible. While it's not in the exact middle, it's not. But I want you to know something, that before Proverbs is the book of Psalms, before Psalms is the book of Job, before Job it's the books of history. Well, you have the books of law at the beginning and the books of history. And most of that books of history is cut and dry. Most of it is. Now there's some things that there may be an analogy, or there may be something that is put in. Yeah, there are some in the books of history. There are some prophecies that are there, but we don't get to the major prophets until we get past the Song of Solomon. Then comes Isaiah and Jeremiah, and of course Lamentation and Ezekiel and Daniel. Those are pretty hard hitting, and those like Zechariah, rather hard hitting as far as enigmas, as far as difficult sayings. And here is, I think, Proverbs helping us and preparing us to what is going to be later on, what's going to be given later on in the Old Testament, of course, then on into the New Testament. And I tell you right now, books like Daniel, there are things in Daniel that, unless you have a little bit of background in the biblical text, you're not going to understand it. And it's amplified even more when we get to the book of Revelation, that you need to know a considerable amount of the biblical text before you get into the book of Revelation. I think Proverbs helps us, and it is properly placed in this. And it does say we can understand some things in trying to train us, trying to teach us of how to handle the Word of God, how to handle these. And I will tell you the truth. It occurred to me just the other day that when we are through with this class, I will feel ready to study Proverbs. And I'm not exaggerating at all. I'm not exaggerating at all. That is truly the way I feel. That after doing this, I feel like, yeah, I'll be ready to truly study, begin to dig a whole lot deeper and learn a lot more from this book, because it has a lot in it. And the way that it's constructed is no accident. These aren't put down randomly. God does nothing haphazardly. He does nothing without design. He does nothing by way of accident or even happy accident. It's not there. He knows exactly how He's putting them down and why He's putting them down. And they all are working together, and as we have shown, probably not very well, but as we have tried to show, that they are connected. And there are a number of things, a number of challenges you could do in the book of Proverbs, in way of learning of how this book works and how it works on the human heart, the human mind, human soul, and trying to train us. Now, we go to chapter 20, verse 16. That is where we have ended up from last week. Proverbs 20 and verse 16. Take the garment of one who is surety for a stranger, and hold it as a pledge when it is for a seductress. Okay, so in this, you are the one who is giving the loan. You are the one who is letting this person borrow money. All right? Take the garment for the one who is surety for a stranger. All right? And you do not, first off, you do not have to trust every person in every situation. You don't have to do it. Love? Yes. Absolutely trust? No, you don't. And you can, I can love a 3-year-old, but do I trust a 3-year-old with my car? No, I don't. Or to even run a table saw? No, I don't. Or even to get on my computer? No, I don't. I remember years ago, and this is going years ago, Seth and Nathan were very small. And we were. I had an office at the church building. This was going years back in Daytona, and we were just having lunch. And they finish their lunch. They go running into the secretary's office. Okay, and I don't think they were there for a minute because I knew I better go check on them. So I got up, and they were at her computer. And what they did in so many seconds, it took me all afternoon to correct. And the secretary had to use her computer. She had to. And what they did, I don't know how they did it. But you don't, okay, we'll get back to 16 in a second, but you don't have to trust everybody in every given situation. You don't have to do it. Now, what is this situation? You are going to be the borrower, and there is someone who is borrowing this money, and this is a known seductress. That's who it is. And this is someone who is going to be surety for her. All right, this situation already looks shaky. It already does. And there may be more to this relationship than is absolutely evident in this. This stranger is a seductress, and there's probably more involved in this. And what he is saying is, you take an extra step to secure that loan. You take the extra step, because here is something that looks like it's less than righteous. Okay. And that you make sure you have the surety you need. You make sure you have what you need for this money that's being lent out. Now we go to 20 and verse 17. Last week we mentioned this because it went with 14 very well. It's connected there. All right, bread, and it's also connected to other verses coming up. But bread gained by deceit is sweet to a man, but afterward his mouth will be filled with gravel. Okay, here is something is being gained, and it's gained by deceit, which means you lied. You lied in order to get it. And just using the word bread as part of this couplet, that it's this bread that has been gained by deceit. Yeah, it's sweet because it's evidently seems more enjoyable because it was easily stolen, easily taken. I have fooled somebody and I've got it. I have fooled somebody and now it's sweeter because of that. And Proverbs 21 verse 6 speaks of getting treasures by a lying tongue. Well, that's what this would be. But there's a punishment in all of this. But afterward his mouth will be filled with gravel. Now, of course, this is all metaphor. Something's being taught, and it's being taught that you don't lie, you don't cheat people out of something. Even if you are really good at it. And some people evidently are really good at it. Like last week we said all of us have been cheated. Whether we know it or not, and probably a lot of the time we don't know. We just don't know. But I personally don't like taking my car into a garage and I expected to pay, I'll just say $100, and they come back and it has grown. This is wrong, 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 this is wrong. And now it's well over 10 times what I expected to pay. All right? Now, can I trust them? I don't have to. I don't have to trust them. No. They are out to make money. All right? But that does not mean anyone gets the ability to lie. And I am, because of the amount of times this has happened to me, I'm sure somebody's lying out there. I'm sure of it. And that I've been told something that needed to be done and it really didn't need to be done. All right? And I've also known men that in their job they were called to lie to the customer. And they decided, nope, I'm tired of this. I'm not doing this anymore. And they left because they didn't want to do that. But that was the pressure put on everybody that worked in that company.
Doctors are good at that.
Yes, doctors are very good at that. And that's when it gets scary because it's not a car anymore. They're now talking about something else, and it's you. And that's when it's like, oh, wow, I'm not sure that I can trust this. Getting a second opinion might be helpful. But they can just begin to pile on things. And who am I to say they don't know what they're talking about? Who am I? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know at all. But gained by the deceit, anything gained by deceit, well, there's going to be a consequence that is there. What was sweet becomes gravel. What was a treasure, that's going to be taken away from you. And it may not be taken away until you die, but it's taken away. And you don't have it anymore. And is only a heartbeat away from having everything you have to you don't have any of it anymore. And you're not even here anymore. You are in the realm of the dead. You're in the Hadean realm at that point. Now, verse 18. Plans are established by counsel. By wise counsel wage war. And here is Solomon talking about his son, talking to his son about what you're going to face these things. You're going to face problems. You're going to face a time where you may need to go to war. You may need to do this because this is what kings do. Proverbs 24:6, for by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and a multitude of counselors in a multitude of counselors, there is safety. Plans are established by counsel. The prudent will make plans. All right, and we will see that coming up soon, I think in the next chapter. That of the diligent making plans, or the plans of the diligent. 21:5, the plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty. But plans are established by counsel, that there must be counsel to make proper plans. And like we looked at earlier, verse 15, there is gold in a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. There's gold in a multitude of rubies. We ask the question, what's wrong with rubies? Well, nothing's wrong with rubies. But what about gold? Well, sometimes you can have wise counsel. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's wise counsel that this is a wise way to go. This is another wise way to go. There's nothing immoral in any of it. This solves the problem. But then there's the gold. And the gold, unlike rubies, gold can be refined. And gold can actually increase its value by being refined. And I just heard the term here recently, 4 nines gold. That is 99.99% pure. And that's the best you're going to get on this earth. But there is wise counsel, and then there can be wiser still. Something that does more than the others did, and more of a benefit than the others did. And that is why having lots of counselors. But in the book of Proverbs, having counselors means wise counselors. That's what it means. And Solomon had counselors that were with him. Solomon did not make all decisions just on his own. He did have counselors. And we have someone, his son, Rehoboam, who didn't learn. Rehoboam has 2 sets of counselors for the first big decision he's got to make. Because the kingdom looks like it's about to be split. And you don't want that. It's about to be split right in half. Well, technically it's not in half, because there's going to be a whole lot more tribes on one side than would be on the other. But it's going to be split. He talks to the counselors that were with his father. These would be the older men. They had counseled his father. They tell him one thing. Then he goes to the men of his own generation, the men who grew up with him, talking to them. They tell him the complete opposite. Complete opposite. You ratchet down. You give them terror. You tell them that things are going to be worse under you than what was under your father Solomon. You tell them that. You terrorize them. They will fear you. They will obey you. They'll do nothing. Well, he listened to the younger men who knew nothing. He listened to the younger men, and the kingdom is immediately split. It's done. It is absolutely over. And yeah, there was war that was between Israel to the north and Judah to the south, until that was put to an end. By wise counsel, wage war. Don't just go out in this without counting the cost, without understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it. Don't just go out spontaneously. Don't go out like a madman. Have it planned. Now, just as a way of illustrating this, or as an example in the way this actually is. All right. Anyone who could have had a bird's eye view, which no one could, anyone who could have had a bird's eye view during World War II would have known that with Eisenhower on one side, he was planning everything for the D-Day invasion, and Hitler on the other side, you could easily have said, there is no way Germany is going to repel them. You can know it. Because on one side, it was steady planning. With Eisenhower, it was steadily planning, steadily doing, and getting advice, getting counsel, everyone chiming in. On the other side is just Hitler doing his will, and he's not listening to anybody. He listens to nobody, and he's taking it completely casually. Evidently, he was a bit of a lazy man. Very, very casual about it. Yeah, just get it done, keep them off the beaches. And you could know from the level of planning involved who was likely to win. You could know it. One who just on a whim says we're going to invade Russia, that's a really bad idea. And everybody except Hitler knew it. Everybody. And there for a little bit it looked like he might just get away with it. He might be successful at it. And then he wasn't. And he lost entire armies. All right, so we come back to plans are established by counsel. By wise counsel, wage war. Notice, Solomon doesn't say, never wage war. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that you must, regardless of what occurs, you must always sue for peace. He doesn't say that. He's giving the very distinct possibility that you're going to see war. But don't do it without wise counsel. And don't go to the fools. Don't go to those who have no idea. Go to the ones who have wisdom in this. Now, verse 19. He who goes about as a talebearer reveals secret. Therefore, do not associate with one who flatters with his lips. Okay, so we have two things in this. One is the talebearer. Well, that's a gossiper. And you also have one who's a flatterer. And there's two distinct categories in this. A talebearer is one who is gossiping, one who knows something that shouldn't be spread, and they're going to spread it. What's the whole adage concerning gossip of why tell a lie when the truth will do just as good? And when you've got some real dirt on somebody, you've got some real bad, dirty laundry, and that nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to hear this, but they're going to do it. And you have, do not associate with one who flatters with his lips. Well, what do you think a king is going to get? He's going to get flattery. That's what he's going to get. Of those who are trying to climb a ladder, getting to the king. And one way that you can try in that is that of flattering the king. And now Solomon is trying to tell his son, don't listen to them, because they're going to be a dime a dozen. They're going to be a dime for 100. There's going to be a lot of those, and they're not exactly sincere. They're going to tell you what they think you want to hear, and they're up to something. Proverbs 29 verse 5, a man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. There's an intent. There's a purpose for this flattery. 26 and verse 28, and a flattering mouth works ruin. That there is that word of sycophant. A sycophant is someone who is following closely to a powerful person, to a wealthy person, whatever it happens to be. A sycophant will always flatter, will always try to be in the good graces of that person. Whatever they ask, that's what they'll do, because it's not that they believe that that person deserves any of that flattery at all. It's they are trying to get somewhere. They're trying to ride the coattails, as we might say. And once again, climbing up a ladder. And now, verse 20. Whoever curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be put out in deep darkness. That is a horrible statement. His lamp will be put out in deep darkness. Chapter 4, verse 19, the way of the wicked is like darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. I think someone who is in fact going that far of cursing, not just dishonoring father and mother, but now going out of the way to curse father and mother, they have gone further and further into wickedness, and this would be a symptom of it. They have gone further and further into wickedness, and they will have no idea what makes them stumble. They will be greater and greater servants of sin. We go to back to 19 and verse 26. He who mistreats his father and chases away his mother is a son who causes shame and brings reproach. Honoring father and mother is to always be observed. Always. Even when your mom or your dad is in prison, you still have to honor them. All right? Even when your father is the town drunk, you can be ashamed, yeah, but you still have to honor. You don't want to emulate someone who's wicked. You don't want to follow a bad example, but you still must honor them. And as we made mention, it's been a few weeks back, that there is no relationship you can have with any human being, whether it's father, mother, or whether it is an older brother, or whether it is a spouse. No one has the right to tell you not to serve God, or to tell you you have to sin, or that you should not be worshiping God. No one has that kind of authority at all. And to disobey someone who wants you to do wickedness is not dishonoring them, nor is it causing shame for them. It is not. You're following God and honoring as you must, but that does not include doing wickedness for your parents. All right? Because they hold a place, a significance in your life, and they will always be your parents. Always. Until they die and you have no parents on this earth anymore. Now, verse 21. So 20 and verse 21. An inheritance gained hastily at the beginning will not be blessed at the end. All right, so everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. That goes to 21 and verse 5. Let's just read the whole things. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. I think we can put these two together. An inheritance gained hastily at the beginning. I also think that this would have been, anyone doing this is going to be like Luke 15:12 with the prodigal son. The father's not dead. He's going to live years from this point. But what the prodigal son wants is everything that would come to him at his father's death. That's what he wants. Give me what I would receive at your death. That, because I want it now, because I'm not waiting around for that. I'm leaving. And an inheritance gained hastily at the beginning, I think that's in reference to this kind of situation. Because, and I'm going to tell you why I'm thinking that. One is the only way to hasten getting an inheritance is by murder. All right, that I don't think that's up into the meaning of this. Is when someone dies, they have died, and then the inheritance is sent out. The inheritance is then gained by it. I think that this is someone who is a bit too hasty to get this, and trying at it before legally they should have it, and or that time would have given it to them anyway. Verse 22, do not say, I will recompense evil. Wait for the Lord, and He will save you. Now, this is not to say you cannot judge an action as evil, because you can. This is neither to say that no one can have any kind of justice upon this earth, because we leave it up to the Lord. Well, the Lord has His servants on this earth to do that very thing. And it's called a justice system. It is with police, or even higher than that, than police to put an end to something if that's what it takes. But also that of laws and judges and prisons and juries, and all of that is set in place for taking care of this. That's called justice. And it's supposed to be done according to God's way. It's supposed to be done. And when it's done God's way, it runs as good as you're going to get it. Still, people can fail God. All right. People can still fail. But there is a law against vigilantism. I cannot, my neighbor did something wrong to me, now I'm going to go show him what for. All right, that's being a vigilante. I can't do that. I'm not supposed to do that. And I was on a phone to a lady another number of years ago. I didn't know how she would take it, but she laughed. She had called out of the blue, and it concerned taking vengeance and being a vigilante. And I was saying, we cannot be vigilantes in the street, because that just lends to wickedness. It lends to evil. That here you may be going after somebody who is entirely innocent. You just think they're guilty, entirely innocent. We cannot be vigilantes. And I said, that's why I had to give away my bat suit. And she just laughed at that. I didn't know how she was going to take it. I had no idea. But yeah, Batman is a vigilante. We have heroes that are vigilantes. And people want to pick on Batman, but Superman's doing the same thing. He is. He's not the police. He's a reporter. That's all he is. And just because he can lift big weights and go fast does not give him the right to do the things that he's doing. It doesn't. But nevertheless, vengeance is mine, I will repay. We can go to, and mine meaning God is saying that. We can go to Romans 12, verses 17 to 21, speaking about that vengeance belongs to God, not us. And we can go to places like 1 Corinthians chapter 6 to learn that someone in the church has done something you did not like. Someone has cheated you, perhaps. And Paul says it would have been best to just be cheated, to have just been wronged and be quiet about it, than what they were doing, taking each other to court when they should not have been doing that. That just accept the wrong and go on. Just accept the wrong. And some things are bigger than you. Matter of fact, a lot of things are bigger than you and more important than you or me. The church, the work of the church, and all that goes with it, the stability of a congregation, all that is greater than any of us. All of that is. Now, never say, I will recompense, because that is not what we're supposed to be doing. And if we go to chapter 25 and look beginning in verse 21, if your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. Well, why would there be heaps of coal, or coal heaped upon his head? Because there is nothing wicked about you. And the one who has been doing wrong, the one who has been wicked, will actually see who is right and who is wrong. Will actually see, this is what a good person does. I'm not doing that. This is what a good person does. I'm far away from that. I'm doing the absolute opposite. Now, that doesn't mean they will turn. They might. That doesn't mean they will. Because some people are just, they're bad. There's just some people that they don't care how you have hurt them. How they don't care how much they have hurt you, nor will they care how much good you're doing for them. Some people just won't. Now others will. Others will. But and of course there's really no predicting. But it's still there. We are not to recompense evil. Let God take care of that. And He has multiple ways of doing that. And I know that just from my own experience, that someone who has done me wrong, I can leave that situation alone. Just leave it alone. That person's going to hurt themselves worse than I would have hurt them. Beyond I couldn't have gotten that close as they are to themselves. I couldn't have gotten that close. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. That person will, they're going to have to live with some stuff, and they're going to have to live with themselves. And what's the whole another saying? Give a man enough rope and he'll hang himself. Well, you just leave the rope alone. Just leave the rope alone, and they will take care of some things. But God can work in multiple ways. Now we come to verse 23. And we spoke about this last week because it goes up to verse 10. Diverse weights are an abomination to the Lord, and dishonest scales are not good. All right, honest weights belong to the Lord. All right, honest weights, they are the Lord. That's 16 and verse 11. We can also see in places like Proverbs 11:1 and verse 20 and 10. Going back up to verse 10, diverse weights and diverse measures, they are both alike an abomination to the Lord. All right? And he's saying it again. It's an abomination to the Lord. And dishonest scales are not good. And we spoke about what that meant. It meant that of in selling and buying, that there must be a standardized, honest weight, measurement, scales, everything must be honest. But I'm going to go a little bit further in this, and because I think it would also apply in another way of the way that we judge others, and we do judge. Whether we do anything about it or not, is a different matter. But we do judge people, and we do judge actions, and we must judge actions with fair weights. Of here is Mr. A. Mr. A, I've never liked him. He has never liked me. He is guilty of this sin. That is really bad. Mr. B, he's been a very good friend of mine all these years. He's guilty of the same sin. I can excuse Mr. B, I can't excuse Mr. A. All right? Or I condemn Mr. A for what he has done, but Mr. B, I can understand that. No, that's dishonest weights. That is where you don't have the same standard. That there must be a consistency in judgment, and that the action, whatever it was, well, Mr. B would be condemned with the same condemnation, the same judgment. Not being easy on him because he's been a good friend, or he happens to be a cousin, or that's my brother. It's wickedness is still wickedness, regardless of any kind of relationship you may have with that person. Now, I'm just throwing this in under diverse weights because it's just different ways in which, uneven ways in which we can judge people and not be consistent with it. And to do it ourselves and say certain things are wrong, but we will do those certain things, well, that's known as hypocrisy. That's seriously wicked weights there, diverse weights in that. Now, I would go to verse 24, but we're running out of time, and I'd like to take a little more time getting to that. And I appreciate everybody being with us, and hopefully we can continue next week. Thank you.